Hello, work wives. Welcome to another episode of Dear Work Wives. I'm Adrienne,
And I'm Emily.
and we're here to help you create work cultures and environments that don't suck.
That do not suck because we've had enough sucky work cultures.
Yeah, they're so bad.
We have been getting so much good feedback on the gram over on the Instagram lately that is so nice to see. I know I talked about it on the last week episode, but I think it's wild to me how like these simple things of just how to treat everyone as if they were a human being
Just like really blows people away.
really resonates with people. Like it's very like, oh wow. What a hot take.
So many people are not being treated like human beings that this is like
revolutionary.
Yeah.
So
sad,
I think keep it coming.
Right?
Keep the feedback and the stories coming, So
yeah, let us know if you're not being treated like a human being. and we'd love to talk about it.
Absolutely. In a helpful way, a supportive way. Yeah, we got your back. We have 3 really good stories today. One of them is long, which I'm excited for because there's lots of good details. So before we dive in, quickly, give us a recap on your life in the last week. You shared the most tragic news with me before we hit record.
As I was just letting you know, it wouldn't be a Wednesday if I didn't feel sick, So I woke up feeling like I have
maybe it's us. Maybe it's a sign that you're not supposed to be doing this.
I don't think so. I refuse to accept that sign. So I kind of fought off that little cold last week. It didn't progress, thankfully, into anything more. But this morning, Coco, the baby, she's been under the weather. Like she's got the boogies now. And now I have a sore throat. So I don't know what's happening over here, but I need someone to come like disinfect my house, like put a tent over it, just burn it down. Maybe
I wouldn't. I like your house. I wouldn't burn it,
but someone we need to when they do, we have
you need the fog machine.
We need like the termite tent. Have you ever seen that? Like we have that a lot down here because of like older homes and termites, Florida. It looks like a circus tent over the whole house. I feel like I need that for like a disinfectant
and then fumigate the whole home. I think it's a good idea. Why not? And while your home is doing that, you guys could all come here for a little vacation.
Yeah. Speaking of vacations,
I know I don't want to talk about that
either. No, it's a sore subject, but I did book some Disney tickets because the Florida resident discounts were insane. I couldn't say no. So
you have to.
I'm going to be going to Disney this summer.
I mean, cool. Good for you, I guess.
You were invited.
No, I know, but I can't go then.
I know.
But it's okay. It's okay.
I know.
I will be okay. It's a lot bigger of a trip for me to come to Florida.
I was thinking that too, because I was like, okay,
the flights.
Number one, it's like cheaper for me because I am a Florida resident, so I can like do this 4-day ticket for $220 or whatever.
Yeah.
Super steal. And then but I don't have to pay for flights, and I don't have to pay for like all the extra things that you're gonna have to do to get here. So I was like, okay, I know that it's gonna be a smaller trip for me because the tickets it's still going to be a big trip. It's still going to be a big expense.
Totally.
But lesser than, a normal Disney trip, but it's actually a lot for you and like a lot more cumbersome to like get down here. So the
exchange rate is really like sometimes the nail in the coffin for a lot of these plans because like it's $1.40 right now. So
it's
you know what I mean? It's wild.
Like 1.5 of
yeah. So it's like even if it's a deal, by the time you add the exchange, it's not a deal anymore. So I am sad. I have the sads, and that's okay because we'll just come next time because you're a Disney family now. So we'll just come next time.
I was so shocked when Tyler became like a Disney dad. Like if I say like, oh, let's go to Disney for vacation, he's like in. If I ask to go anywhere else, he's like Eeyore. He doesn't want to go anywhere.
He doesn't want to come to Canada, that's for sure. He's made that
he doesn't really want to get on a plane. I think it's like getting on a plane with the children like really overwhelms him. The idea
I can absolutely relate to that. I'm not gonna lie.
So Disney seems like just like so thankful it's like in our in our area so that we can just drive over. But
And this time you're going to go to like Hollywood Studios too, which I think is really cool because
we haven't been to Epcot or Hollywood Studios with the kids. Last time we just did Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
This time we're going to do all 4 parks, which should be real exhausting for us.
That'll be great.
It'll be great. And those kids will be like Disney tired at the end of the day and they'll just pass out.
Right out. Yep. Yeah.
And I just booked a princess meal for Kit at Epcot, which I'm so excited.
Last Are you just going to go with Kit? Just you and Kit?
No, taking the whole fam. Yeah. I probably shouldn't take Coco because it's also like her nap time, but what am I going to do? Like
she can nap in the car, stroller.
I just won't pay for her to eat, hopefully.
Yeah. No, she won't eat. She won't have to pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But last time we went to Disney, she was like not into any of the princesses. Like she hadn't even watched Frozen at that point.
It was all Mickey.
It was all Mickey. And she still loves Mickey. And now Coco actually, like, she'll go and like pick up the Mickey stuffies and she'll Mickey. Like she is starting to get into that. But I'm so excited for Kit to like meet all the princesses because now she's like obsessed with all of them. Like she loves Rapunzel. She loves Ariel. We're going to see Ariel this week. Friday. Yeah.
Be there. I'll be there.
Be there, be square.
Are you going to order food to your seat 30 minutes into the movie?
I hope so.
Good.
I'll try to convince Tyler. Yeah.
Just do it. You're in charge.
I should just do it.
Yeah.
He's really like the movie in charge guy. Like he has like the app and like, I don't even know. Yeah. I'm just like, buy the tickets.
Yeah.
I'm the Disney in charge girl. Like,
yes. As you should be.
Yeah. Like they just like show up, and then it's like
you're gonna be on your phone all day getting those Genie Plus things. Yes.
And like they have no clue,
Yeah.
So
you're gonna have a great time. And I'm
thinking I'm not even gonna need the Genie Plus this time because Kit is eligible for what's called like a DAS pass because of her like anxiety disorder. Perks of anxiety.
Silver lining. Listen, growing up with a brother,
all the silver I'm paying enough in therapy every month, so
I'll take it.
We'll get a DAS pass.
Literally, that growing up with my brother who has a disability, we're like, you know what? We'll take everything we can get because why not?
Right.
Everything else is hard, so let's take the few things that make it easy.
That are a little bit easier.
Yeah. Exactly. So that'll be great for you. I won't talk to you for a few weeks because I'll be just livid, but it's
livid. Okay. I know.
We'll survive. Nevertheless, I will survive.
For you?
It was a long weekend here last weekend. It was so nice. My sister-in-law, James's sister, brother-in-law, and my nieces came for the weekend. And it was so nice. I love them all so much. And we had a little block party. I live on a court. So we had like a court block party. We set up fireworks.
Court, is that like a circle? Like a cul-de-sac?
Yeah, like a cul-de-sac. Yeah. We always do fireworks. We set up fireworks and just had like a little block party. And it was just really nice.
What's the holiday? Like
it's like our Memorial. It's like our Memorial Day. So it's actually Victoria Day. So it's like celebrating Queen Victoria's birthday or something like that. I don't really know. But it's May long weekend, May 2-4 as the Canadians call it. And it was great. It was a perfect weekend. The weather was gorgeous. And, we just really had a great time.
Good.
Yeah, that's all. Should we dive in? That was a sweet one today.
I mean, Mary told me that she loves this segment the most. So, but I don't know if I have anything else to talk about.
Well, sometimes when I listen to it, I'm like, is the segment too long? Like I get very anxious that we just
there's definitely some people who are just like,
get to the
I don't want to hear about any of this.
Yeah. You guys are
but others want it. So you can't please everybody.
Exactly. You're not everyone's cup of tea. Some people like coffee.
That's right.
Yep.
I do have something exciting this weekend coming up. It's Kit's first dance recital. So big weekend over here,
Big weekend. The costumes. She looks so cute.
She looks so cute. She has her like dress rehearsal tomorrow afternoon. So that will be the real test of like, does she understand that she's going to be in front of an audience like on a stage? Because as of right now, she's just been like practicing in the dance room studio. Yeah. So I don't think that she understands what a recital is.
Yeah.
At this point. So TBD tomorrow if she'll be participating.
My niece's ballet recital is $50 a ticket.
Okay, this is I went to like buy these tickets for kids recital and I'm thinking they're going to be $10, whatever.
$10, yeah.
It's $20 for like a general ticket. And then it was like $40 if you wanted to like pick your seat or something. And then it was $60 if you wanted like a VIP seat. And of course you feel like a terrible parent. You're like, well, I probably should want the VIP seat, but I'm not paying $60 because that's insanity.
For my daughter's 30-second dance.
30-second dance, literally. And she probably won't even do it, you know? Like,
yeah. Totally.
So I bought the $20 ticket, but I'm like, dang, they're like cleaning up on this thing. I'm sure they use it as like a fundraiser or whatever, but wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even invite like my brother and sister because I was like, I don't want them to pay this much money to watch Kit for 30 seconds, you know?
So you can do it in the living room next time they're over.
I'll show them the video. Like maybe when she gets older and is in more of the dances or something. But I was just like, wow, they're really proud of this performance for $60.
Yeah, it's wild. Like Lila's piano and voice recital is just $20, and that's the fee to rent the space. You know, $20 like flat per like it's not per person. It's just $20 extra in your fee that month. You know?
Oh no, ours was per person. So I bought like for me, Tyler. I'm not buying one for Coco. Like I'll boycott if they. Like no. And then I bought one for our nanny because she wanted to go and see. But
yeah.
Well, so $60 I spent on.
I mean, it's
not to mention how much the costume cost.
Literally.
Coco
I don't know. It's wild, but good for them. You know, they're making it happen.
Yeah, we need to have like a car wash or something.
Car wash, a bake sale.
Yeah, bake sale or something.
Yeah, literally. Oh, okay. Let's dive in. We got some good ones today. Okay, first one is from Job Breakup Blues. This is a lengthy one, but I'm going to read it all because there's lots of good context.
Okay.
Hey, Adrian and Emily, love the podcast. In fact,
thank you.
Thank you so much. It's brought me great comfort when y'all launched. Everyone in my family laughs when I say y'all, but it's just
y'all.
That's some part of my lexicon. Yeah. When y'all launched, I was in the middle of an extremely stressful time in my career, and it made me feel less alone in my situation. Here's what happened. I've been at my job for almost 14 years. I had excellent performance reviews and eventually moved up the ranks to be in charge of my organization's 2 group rental programs. In March of 2020, these programs disintegrated because of COVID, obviously. It was super stressful, and this was a loss of about 1.6 million in gross revenue. Yikes.
Damn.
For the next 3 years, the team and I struggled to resuscitate the programs, endured layoffs, furloughs, salary cuts, all of those things. I led my team as we tried everything we could to make money while holding space for our programs to come back. We modified current and started new programs while implementing all the safety precautions for COVID, like all of that, you know, like they pulled it back to life. Fast forward to January 2023, and our programs are projecting to gross pre-pandemic levels in revenue. Although I continued to receive high performance reviews throughout the pandemic from my supervisor, it felt like I could start to breathe again. That is until my supervisor told me they were restructuring and I could apply for a promotion that would be over my 2 programs, like overseeing my 2 programs and developing another one. If I didn't get the promotion, then I would lose leadership over one of my programs. Quite frankly, I was hurt. It felt like my organization was shopping for someone else after I had excellent performance reviews and fought hard to resurrect these programs. Additionally, I had been doing the entire job as outlined in the posting, aside from developing new content, and had all of the required and preferred qualifications, and I'd had them for years. Nevertheless, I applied and interviewed for what felt like my own job. It was so stressful and painful. The job ended up going to another individual who had led another site of our organization that was closing. After 3 years of struggling and working really hard to get these programs back off the ground, not getting that promotion felt like a betrayal, especially since I lost leadership over one of my programs. So I left. Since leaving, my anxiety has subsided, which has helped a lot, but I still feel depressed, like I'm going through a breakup. I loved my job for over a decade, and I still feel super angry and insulted. Any tips or tricks for dealing with these feelings?
Damn. They did you dirty, you know? Like
so sad.
So sad. It feels like
14 years.
14 years. Good marks, reviews,
no
performance,
red flags,
like, to claw your way back after COVID and pandemic stuff. Yeah. And then to be told you're going to have to interview and they're gonna have to reapply and interview for basically
your own job
that you have that you've been excelling at. And then the nerve to have someone apply and interview and then select this other person. Like, it's a slap in the face. I'm proud of you for leaving, right? Like for really honoring yourself and
your worth and your value.
Yeah. And knowing that like you probably wouldn't feel safe or supported there moving forward. So I think it's a good move. I feel like, like she equates it to like a breakup, right? Or he or she equates it to like a breakup after, like my anxiety had subsided, which is great. But now I'm like depressed. Like I loved my job and that's like really sad. And so I think there's going to be a period of mourning. I wish there was like a, job version of a rebound so that you could just like go be a little promiscuous right now and get over this person. But
doesn't work like that.
Doesn't really work like that with jobs, but you need like a rebound.
You need like a reset, like
a reset. Like maybe you just need some time to think about what do you want to do next? Like what values will the next company have that really align with you and what you want, and what would be fun? Like you said that you loved your job, so obviously there was some elements of fun there that you maybe want to bring into the next role, but sounds like there's some corporate or just organizational pieces that were misaligned, or maybe you learned over time that they were misaligned. You need a reset, right? But I think like if you can maybe take some time for yourself right now, like before you jump back in, I think that like whenever you have a change in jobs or a layoff or when you leave, it's like you want to just like jump back into the next thing. And financially, sometimes I know that you need to, but it also is a really good time to just like take time off. Like you have no obligations at that point, which rarely happens in life. Like there's so few times that you're not working or needing to be, responsible for things, that if you have the financial ability to just like take some time for yourself, I would really allow yourself to do that, so that going into the next one, you're really feeling good and clear about what you want. I don't know, like when I left college and stuff, like I wish I had traveled more. I wish I had
a gap year. That's what I've been saying.
I wish I had like taken advantage of not having or needing those like responsibilities, before you get committed to something, because like once you're committed, it's really hard to take extended time off.
And I think like I've seen a lot of people who were in a career and maybe they got burnt out by the career. And I'm not saying this is exactly what happened to you, but maybe they got burnt out by the career, or the career wasn't what they wanted. And instead of like jumping back into the next career, they go and like find a job where they're treated well, they're respected, their expectations are really easily outlined for them, but they're not as like invested in the role.
It's just so like they go a little more
Costco or something, and they enjoy the people they work with. They show up, they do their job really well, and then they leave, at the end of the day. And they're like, okay, I made my money and now I can go live my life, I would like always encourage people, if you have the ability, like don't feel this pressure of like every
to like jump into another career move
has to be the best next move for my career, because our careers are a lot longer than we think they are,
like go work at a pet store or something.
Seriously,
the dogs.
Go work at a summer camp, or like, like maybe that's not in alignment with what you want for your life, but like, what can you do? Maybe there's a seasonal job or something that, it's just, I'm just taking a breather. Go work at like a heli tourism place and be like a server for the summer, like just go explore something new. I like the idea of a seasonal job because it's, there's a start, there's an end. You don't have to feel like, oh, I'm taking this job, but only for a few months, but I can't tell them that. It's like, go find a job that's what it's designed for. Go have fun, go explore somewhere new. Or, just don't feel like the next move has to be the move,
like headspace of like, what do you want to jump into next for the career. Yeah.
Right. And keep your feelers out, keep that resume updated, of course. But you don't want to just jump into the next thing and be super committed to it again, because you need a little time to heal from how you were treated in this.
What's the like business work version of dressing for revenge?
Oh. Right. I wish I knew. Yeah, that's what you just need to like go, I don't need you. And I obviously don't know the details of what your organization was. Like maybe they have a top competitor, you go. But also I feel like after 14 years, you probably have really good connections in the industry. So I'm sure you could start to explore leveraging those, like use the time, like go for a coffee chat, just explore what's happening. But I know for a lot of people, like the financial aspect is a real thing, but that doesn't mean you have to go work like at your next career. It can just be going to work, somewhere that just helps you pay the bills and feels like a good time for right now.
Yeah. And I think just also like you mentioned, like depression, I just think like honoring that this was a breakup, right? Like that this
14 years,
this
like
was a long time and you felt a betrayal, right? And that hurts. And there's going to be some emotions involved with that. And I think just like honoring those feelings and letting yourself feel it, and not feel like, oh, but it's just a job, I shouldn't feel that way. I think that a lot of times we can downplay the challenges or the deep relationships and the trust that we had built with people. Like there's a lot of things here for you that may be coming up around like what you thought about these people or how they treated you, so I would go to therapy too.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can.
Yeah.
And don't, like, the number one thing is like, just don't pretend. I mean, it's okay. Don't pretend everything's okay. It doesn't have to be okay. You can be upset and frustrated and angry, and like just honor those feelings. So if you don't, then they're gonna stay there. You have to process them and work through them for you to be able to move on.
Grieving, right? Like you have to go through all the phases of grieving.
Yeah, because you were betrayed by, it sounds like a really close relationship. So
right, like people you knew for a long time.
Yeah. So. But update us on what you decide to do, please. Mandatory. Your update is mandatory. All updates are highly, highly suggested, but yours is mandatory.
Yeah.
Conditional.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right. This one is from Need Less Stress. They say, how can I help my team to not overwhelm their plates, to get them to actually remove tasks they are no longer enjoying or that aren't actually making a difference in the business, and encourage them to experience more joy in their role? It's been a busy season and I've hired 2 new people to balance workloads, but one of my team members still has a tendency to overcomplicate and overthink things, and the other gets very stressed out if anything goes wrong. Well, kudos to you for caring about their joy. I think that's rare. So
yeah, you're coming from the right place, I think. I would love to know your perspective as someone, like, I feel like this is you as a leader, where you're like, I just want y'all to be happy and low stress and enjoy your life. And then
you don't.
And then we don't sometimes. Like, because we're all we have our own personality. Like, I would be the person who gets stressed out if things go wrong on our team, or, can sometimes have not always the best reaction, that kind of thing. So how frustrating is it for you as a leader to be like, this is not what I want, and I'm actually not embodying any of these qualities, and yet y'all still act like I am?
Right. I think that's the frustrating part, is like, you tend to like blame it on yourself. You're like, wait, what am I doing wrong still?
Yeah.
That like, I feel like I've done so much to communicate that like making mistakes is okay, that like we don't want you to overwork, that like please don't, like we're not creating oxygen, right? Like we have all these things, and yet people right, and they have their own tendencies, so it can feel like I must be messing up. And so I think the first thing is to just check in with the culture, and are you continuing to reiterate like the beliefs, the values, do they understand those things? Right. And that it's not coming from you. And so I think having conversations with them about like, what are those values? Are they embodying those values? And having the conversation so that they can come up with the solutions too, because you could tell them over and over and over again, like, I don't want you to overwork. I don't want you to overcomplicate things. I don't want you to stress about this. But if they
are stressed,
then they're going to continue to be stressed. Right. So it's like, it's a them thing to work out, and you can help them navigate that and identify like, oh, Adrian's not, or this, my leadership is not putting this on me. I am putting this on me.
Yeah.
So how can I not do that? Right. Like, how can I navigate that? Or how can I handle that? Or what type of support or reassurance do I maybe need so I don't feel stressed? Right. Because there might be something in that conversation that, like, for example, Emily might tell me like, well, I'm stressed because we have these deadlines. Well, maybe I can communicate that like those deadlines are arbitrary and we can move them. And maybe that helps, but maybe she didn't know that. Right. So maybe, oh, well, we can, we don't have to do these 2 projects. So maybe that'll, create more bandwidth for you and we can hit those deadlines. Does that help you become less stressed? Right. So I think a conversation around that and continuing to reiterate the values, but in a way that also is coming from a curiosity perspective on like how, like, what is coming up for them around the stress, right? Like, why is that being created for them, and how can you help them move through it? Yeah.
I think that like the tendency, a tendency to overcomplicate and overthink things. I think a lot of that, in my experience, comes from like wanting so badly to make sure that all the ducks are in a row that it's like, well, let me think of every possible scenario, A through Z, which like can just make things more complicated, because then you start making like emergency escape plans for something that has like a 1.1% chance of happening. Right. Which, like, it's good, but also it's probably a waste of time right now. And it's just creating, it's amplifying any sort of real concerns we could have or real things that we need to address, when there's like, what do we logically need to worry about first? Let's focus on that and like get all of those things sorted out. Because when we think of, okay, these are like 4 likely problems we're going to have, or obstacles we need to be ready for, like, and then we also add on 20 more that have a very low % chance of happening or are going to need to be handled on a case-by-case basis, but we start stressing about them now, it feels like a mountain instead of a molehill,
Totally.
So keeping your team focused on like, yes, I understand there is a lot of unknown, but we know this, so let's keep it simple and address these things,
Yeah. I think like focusing, like, what's the very next thing, or like the most important thing that we need to focus on, not all these million things that are like what ifs and could happen. And
like, I literally should be looking in a mirror when I say this, but I do think I'm getting better at this for sure. I'm kind of like, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, I think we're also in a season of like having to be in that, right?
Yeah.
I think the other piece of them maybe not wanting to let things go, or being fearful of completely removing things from the business that sounds like they don't add much value. I would also ask them like, what are their hesitations or fears around removing some of those things? Like, why do we not, like, if you as the leadership are saying we don't need to do this anymore, like, what is their hang up? Like, what are their fears around letting some of those things go? Because
have they attached their own personal value to those tasks?
Right. Do they think that they don't have job security? They won't have enough to do? Like, what is the fear? Do they maybe have different insight on the value that they think those tasks bring to the customer or the product? Would just be curious.
And especially when things, she said that it's been busy, so things change. So maybe they were valuable and they're not. And when you're moving on the fly, it's very easy for things to slip through the cracks, or to have mattered 6 weeks ago and not matter now, and that's just the ability to remain agile like that is really challenging for some people, which could be why people, get stressed if things go wrong. They think it's going wrong, because they're operating on, the decisions that were made a month ago, but maybe those decisions are different, and we need to actually sit down and talk as a team about how like the decisions we made a month ago are actually they're not the right decisions anymore. So
I also think like a daily stand-up is an important tool for a time like this, so that you can help like reevaluate priorities and calm people's concerns. So we use Slack for our daily stand-up, and in the daily stand-up at the end of everyone's day, they just write like what was a win they had that day, what's a concern they have, if any concern or like roadblocks, and then what are they focused on tomorrow. And so I think that's a really good tool that you could implement to better address, overwhelm, or like, I'm stressed about this. And then you can like, be like, oh, that's not actually something that I'm stressed about, or how can we help you, And then if priorities are a little out of whack in their tomorrow's focus, then you can help them reevaluate that before they spend time on it, So I think that's like a practical, tangible tool you could implement too.
Yeah. And I think my final little piece of advice, if you have a relationship with these people where you can have like really open and honest discussion and be like really candid about in your feedback and like how you want to help them grow, is if people are feeling like a lot of stress. I mean, I'll speak from personal experience. Whenever I'm like highly wound up, I'm very loyal to the company. So if I feel like things are going wrong, I feel like the only way to fix it is to just show like, I'm so loyal, like I'm so upset that this is going wrong and I'm such a good employee. And like, I'm going to carry this or whatever. And it's actually like having discussions about how like creating that frenetic energy actually creates the opposite of what you're trying to achieve here. Like, I know you're loyal. I know you care. But by making a huge deal out of it, you're actually causing more of a disturbance than the thing that happened. So let's just like, I see you. I understand that,
I've never questioned your loyalty around,
your competency or whatever. Right. It's just, but like these disturbances are more distracting than the initial problem,
issue or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, that might not always be true, but I know in the past it's been true for me. So maybe it is true sometimes. So okay. Good luck.
Yeah. Sounds like you're focused on the right thing though, It's kind of like when a parent is like worried about being a good parent, like, they're probably a good parent.
If you're worried about being a good parent, you're a good parent. That's all there is to it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Last one is from Default Micromanager. They share, I do not want to micromanage my team, but I currently review everyone's work for quality. And while there are many projects that are just good to go, a lot of times I do feel like something could be better, especially when it's client facing. I'm finding it hard to bite my tongue for fear of not making something as good as it can be. Is this hard? Is this just a hard thing, even though it's the right thing? Or how do I live in this gray where sometimes I provide direction and most of the time I keep my mouth shut?
As someone who
graphic.
as someone who like is an employee, what's your preference? Like,
I think my preference would always be, I would want to know if there's a way to make something better. But I would need to understand that better, like,
but is it actually better or is it just different? I guess is my question.
That's what I'm saying. Like if there's something that can be done better, that needs to be communicated. If there's something that's like, I prefer that we use green instead of blue, I'm like, why? If we're in the brand, like, if it's all good, like, and you just wish that it was green instead of blue, then like, I don't need to know that. But if like the font needs to be bigger so that this can be more legible, or if we need more of this, because then it's going to be a higher converting sales page, like we need to know that.
Yeah. I agree. I think that there's a distinction that needs to be made by this leader, right? Like, because I think one of the hardest things to do as a leader is to practice restraint sometimes when a team member is doing something that is good, high quality, but just not the way I would do it necessarily. It's not the color I would choose, just to use that example, right?
Yeah.
But is it still right? Is it still good? Is it still high quality? Yes, then I need to practice restraint.
Yeah.
If there's a situation where it's not as good as it possibly could be, and it has nothing to do with me just having a different preference, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just about preference, it's about
better
quality.
results.
Yeah, better results. Then I think there's a time and a place to be able to give that feedback, you know, and I think maybe there's a process that needs to be put in place so that it doesn't feel like micromanagement, but rather just a step in the process right now as they're learning. So in Clockwork, in our program, we call this kind of like training wheels, where eventually over time, you would not need to do this anymore, because while you're giving them the feedback, they're learning, right? Because you're not just changing it, right? So I think that's an important piece, is like, you're not just changing the thing to make it better. You're providing context and feedback on why we would make it this color, or why we would change the font to this size, so that the person can learn. And now the next time they do it, they'll have that knowledge experience of, oh, I remember Adrian said that like, this is why we do this color, so now I'm going to use this color, right? And so as time goes on, we call it training wheels, because over time you're going to stop doing this, right? Because at a certain point they will learn, and the quality will be just as good as yours, right? Or better, hopefully, because over time they've learned from the feedback and the expertise and the knowledge that you're giving them. But I think that you have to be clear first on like, is this just a preference, or is this an actual increase in quality? And then how can I communicate that change or preference, or like, not preference, how can I communicate that increase in quality in a way that they're learning through the process? But I would make this like a standardized part of the process, so that you're not just like stepping on their toes and it feels like micromanaging, you know, like, hey, let me see that actually before you send it to the client. Like, it shouldn't be haphazard like that. It should be until we're feeling like their quality is up to par, there is a process for the review.
Yeah. I think that's the differentiator, is it's the review process should eventually have an end. So it's like, you're still in training. We're still trying, and the goal is to not need the review process anymore.
Right.
But until we're at that point, and like, that will naturally start to happen the more that we collaborate on this process. I think that's, it's not like you go do this thing and I want nothing to do with it until the very end when I review it. It's like a back and forth. Like, this is the thing, and do your best. And then we're going to review it, and we're going to figure out how we can improve it and standardize it for the company. And it's not just your personal preferences. It's like the standard across the company. We use this many links. We have this size of font. We do blah, 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 whatever your business is, you know, like, this is standard for the company, and you need to be able to hit those standards every time. And until I can see that happening 5 times in a row, I'll review everything, you know?
I think the only other like piece that I want to add is like, they mentioned I currently review everyone's work for quality. And so for you, default micromanager, like, I think there needs to be a goal of getting people to be fully autonomous within their roles. And part of what we're talking about here, the training element, is going to be providing documentation, information that lives within your organization, so that in the future, you're not having to review their work. And this is not just like a control thing that you're doing, right? Like, the goal is to get everyone to be autonomous. And right now you're checking everyone's work. So I think you need to set some goals for like, my goal is to get this person autonomous on this project or this area of responsibility first, then this person, like, be really deliberate with this process versus just continuing to review everything forever and keeping the knowledge in your head. Because if you just review it, make changes, and then don't teach them, train them, or document what you're doing, then this will be what you have to do forever. And I don't think that will feel good for everyone. The goal is that they're growing in their roles and becoming more, of experts as well, and able to be autonomous. And if they don't get that, they'll leave eventually, because it will feel like micromanagement. So
yeah. And I know there are some roles or industries that have like a controller, and it's their job. This is not that though. We're not, talking about those types of positions. And so
like, you need a financial controller.
Yeah.
Right. Like I used to work at a large manufacturing organization. We had a financial controller, which was important,
Yeah.
Different.
But this is not
that was their job. Yeah. No, this is not that.
So, and I know that it's really hard because, especially I find for entrepreneurs, like even like we'll talk about this in Clockwork a lot, where we're separating like the entrepreneur versus the business. And so much of that is enmeshed because it is, your values really dictate the values of the company, and like your preferences, your style is going to become the company's style for sure. So you need to standardize it. And that's my biggest thing. So
yeah, agreed.
Yeah. That's all she wrote. That's all we got. 3 amazing stories. Don't forget Job Breakup Blues to send us your update.
Thank you to everyone for sending in. Please go to dearworkwives.com, submit your story. I know people sometimes are concerned, like, oh, I don't want to I don't want people to find out. Like, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away. Just provide as much detail as you can without feeling like you're, going to be caught. But I'm doubtful that your person listens to this too.
Totally. I mean, don't call yourself M's big brother if you really want to stay anonymous too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're good. We can be discreet. We will keep these anonymous. Yeah.
So fill it out so that we can support you, talk about you, help other people.
Yes. Because these were 3 great stories today. I think are so relatable to everyone. So you might think your situation is like unique or weird to you. It's not in a sad way. It's more common probably than you think. So share.
All right.
Well,
see you next Tuesday. All right. Bye.